This video is going to cover a mission that's part of the Bluejay quest on Neomuna. So to get to this stage, you've got to do Stargazer, I believe, and then Maelstrom. And then when you get so far through to Bluejay, the quest, there's a mission called Partition Hard Reset that has no matchmaking, I don't believe. Right, so if you're not in a fire team of 3, you've got to solo it. So I thought I'd cover this as a solo, right? Because it's an interesting timed mission. There's champions in it, Barrier and Unstoppable. The threat is Arc, so that's burn for enemies. And then we get Solar Surge and Strand Surge. So you use solar weapons. You can use a Strand weapon if you wish. I'm using a Strand subclass. Obviously I'm on Hunter. Just the fragments aspects that you see. I'm not going to cover too much because I haven't really got a build per se, because I haven't done enough experimentation with Strand to have one specifically. I've got Wormless Crown on, which is nice on Strand for survivability. I'm using double primary heavy, so I'm using adaptive munitions, pulse rifle, Stay Frosty, and then Staccato, a solar scout because it's solar burn or solar surge. And then Xenophage. Xenophage works well in this because it's solar. So if you want to use Galahorn or whatever solar weapon you can think of in your heavy slot, use it. So this mission's timed. You can see on this side, defuse the bomb. That's what's interesting about this mission. It's timed. So it's got like a Sparrow Racing League effect on this mission, which is good. I like it. So you've got to hit these power-ups to get a speed boost. I don't think I haven't fell off map on this. I don't know if you can or not off this track. I suppose you can, but you're just following the route. But what's interesting about this mission is it's not a modifier, but it is a modifier technically. When you kill enemies, you get a time extension, right? Which used to be on the old Nightfalls, right? Ages ago. So it's good. So you haven't just got 1 minute 10 or whatever, but it rewards you by doing the mission quicker, right? Essentially. So we use a bit of Xenophage on this champ before he can even put shield up. So even though we're under leveled, which I believe you always are for this, it's still not too bad. So use a bit of our Strand abilities. Like I say, I'm not going to commentate too much on that. The one thing I will say is though, get that grapple off. The grapple is no good for activities in general when you're under leveled and stuff. The grapple isn't good. Get a good grenade on. So I'm using the Fredling grenade, which I believe to be the one that I've had more fun with than the others. Right, the grapple I just haven't enjoyed, only for exploring the grapple. But the Fredling grenade's really good. I do like the Fredling grenade and the tracking. Think of it like a skip grenade, but it's enhanced. Better than skips. But it has the same sort of thing and it tracks. Like with Shinobi's Vow. It's sort of like that. So there's going to be 2 or 3 times where you've got to do this. So you do a bit of combat, you go back on the track. You do a bit of combat, you go back on the track. So it's just like that. But if you clear the goblins on the track with your Sparrow, you get a time extension. So try and hit those if you wish. They're not required. It's not like you're going to fail. Unless you're slow at killing the enemies, then you should be fine. It's not a difficult solo mission, but it's an interesting one. And I'm surprised there's no matchmaking in this. I would have thought they would have had matchmaking. They've had matchmaking for everything else. I don't know why there's no matchmaking for it. That's what triggered me to make a video on it, because I was like, alright, you might have to sort of think to solo this. So I put a quick build together. Make sure that you rally before you do this, because if you start with low ammo, it's not very good. Like, I'd done this at first with no ammo, and I was like, oh, this is rubbish. So I went back and got some ammo on a rally. Because I had Galley and I literally had 1 rocket for the entire thing. I was like, alright. So I put on Xenophage, rallied up, so I've actually got ammo. So obviously with Strand you can stop unstoppables. So I use my dive ability, whatever it's called, to suppress them or whatever. I don't know the key verbs at the minute, or it's not on my mind. But I use my dive that stopped the unstoppable. So you don't have to run Unstoppable Scout. I could have run out energy, a fusion rifle or something. Don't have to. We're not limited to use double primary anymore because of abilities and stuff. But I didn't, as I say, know exactly how many unstopables was going to be in this, and whether it's still better to just use a scout and stuff like this. Because yeah, you can stop them with Strand on a hunter, but you've got to be up close. Yeah. So use our dive here again to suspend them, tangle them, or whatever. It's really good because you get plenty of class ability back if you've got the right fragment on. We use a bit of Xeno here as well. Adaptive munitions, so something that I said last season that's incorrect. I said that like adaptive munition weapons wouldn't have a place. They still have a place. Even though it's not match game shields, they're handy for that. And they're handy for barriers. So like barrier pulse, if you're going to use a barrier pulse, a legendary one, then you still want to use an adaptive munitions. You want to try and get one, right? Because they're still melting. So adaptive munitions still has a place in the game, despite us being able to stun champions with abilities and stuff. However, I haven't played on solo hunter or like with radiant and stuff like this, and stasis. Well, I have played with stasis, but obviously we know what stasis does to barriers. Stasis is going to be in a good spot because being able to stun all three champions. Stasis is going to be decent, it really is. And it seems as though they've fixed the way we do damage to the champs with stasis as well, or it seems to be different to what it was, which is better. So we're on the track again, same thing. You got less time on this one, so you get less and less time each phase, I think. Bear in mind, this is like, you know, my first clear of the mission, so I ain't going to pick up on every single detail. This section here is where the scout's going to help you a little bit from range, because obviously it's solar burn, so it's going to help out. Just dealing with from targets from a range. You can fall off map, obviously try not to. You'll end up losing loads of time if you die, so do not die. That is a critical thing. Make sure you don't die. So don't try to play too aggressive with Strand. If you don't want to use Strand, you don't have to use it. I'm just using it because it's interesting enough. There's people saying that Strand ain't good and stuff. Listen, none of us know anything about it. If you're saying it's bad and you don't have all the fragments access to you, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. You don't have a clue. You don't have any idea whether Strand is good or not. Leave it to the players to figure all that stuff out. I anticipate after a week's play, people will get more to grips with Strand. People are complaining because of the grapple. You don't have to run the grapple. Alright, there are builds like if I get a finisher kill, I spawn Fredlings. So that's not ability. I can keep finishing everything and get Fredlings. So that's a way to do it on a hunter, right? Just off the top of my head. Strand's decent. Like, look at this. I can actually deal with barriers with Strand. Yeah? Look at that. How powerful is that? It's the same deal as when Stasis came out. I didn't like Stasis when Stasis first came out. I was like, oh, I don't like it. And then I warmed to it. We all warmed to it and now we love it. It'll be the same thing for Strand. It might need a couple of buffs. I don't know. But I do know the Hunter Super is massive damage. Alright, when you pop a super on a boss, it does massive damage. We missed our nade there. We're gonna spam Xeno. So look, the boss is 3 phases. So melt with Xeno if you've got it, or whatever solar weapon, to speed this up, right? If you want to get a time extension, kill all the ads behind that just spawned in, but you don't need it. Essentially, you just need to Sparrow to the bomb, defuse the bomb, which you've got 30 seconds, essentially. The Scions do hit your Sparrow quite a bit. I'm using that, the best Sparrow in the game, which is tankier than other Sparrows. So just use a good Sparrow, obviously, for this. Because the Scions could blow up your Sparrow, which would be over time-wise. So make sure that doesn't happen. I don't know what the respawn timer is. I'm going to use a super here, show it off. It's quite awkward to super this boss because he's on a podium. But look at the damage it does. I didn't even get a chance to get half my super up and it's 1 phase done. I'll clear out the rest of the ads, get a time extension. Look at that, 1 minute and 5. I love it, man. They need to, like, I've said this for ages, they need to have time trial missions in the game. Make it some sort of category, because I know people don't want timers in Nightfalls. Well, we have timers, but timers where you go to orbit if you don't complete it in time. I like that stuff, right? I know people don't, but they're all about bringing back challenge. Well, make us have to play a little bit more quicker and a bit more riskier, as opposed to sitting back with scouts, because that's what it is. But they're only doing what people have asked. People have asked for them not to have timers. They get fed up with it. But it's like the other way now. We're not getting enough missions where there's timers, and there needs to be more. This mission was cool. That's why I'm posting it. Really liked it, enjoyed it. That's a mission on this how to solo it anyways. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Rohan used to say, if we lose sight of where we came from, whatever we built wouldn't be Neomuna anymore.
I see. Your memories, your history, makes you who you are.